This man is truly reckless. Even under heaven's terrifying lightning, he simply yawns without a single care. The legendary True Tien's sword strikes, but he casually catches the blade with only 2 fingers. With a mere flick of his wrist, the divine sword shatters. The onlookers are paralyzed in pure shock. Is this man a literal cheat code? He even mocks the heavenly Tao itself, asking if it's had lunch yet. 3 divine figures emerge from the clouds, their pressure overwhelming the world as they condemn this arrogant mortal. He effortlessly tosses a single stone, obliterating the gods instantly. His name is the legendary 𝒂𝒓𝒇𝒖𝒍, the primordial body cultivation ancestor, who stood atop the 9 realms, now attempting to reach true immortality. The heavens fear his monstrous power, unleashing 100,000 lightning tribulations to destroy every trace of his existence. 𝒂𝒓𝒇𝒖𝒍 can no longer stay idle. His physical body erupts with godlike energy, blinding the entire world. Massive phantom hands strike the heavens, causing the earth to tremble as he wages war against fate. The battle concludes, but the price was his own body. He fades away, just 1 step from divinity. His descendants weep for their lost light. Not even the peerless saint body could survive such a catastrophic trial. The celestial rankings shift overnight. Without his presence, the universe is plunged into a chaotic era. Within the 9 realms, ancient demons rejoice. With the seal of 𝒂𝒓𝒇𝒖𝒍 finally gone, they prepare to dominate once more. Yet in the holy sanctuary, 𝒂𝒑𝒘𝒄𝒄 waits. Regardless of where he might be, her heart remains steadfastly his. She knows he isn't truly gone. Somewhere across the ends of the earth, 𝒂𝒑𝒘𝒄𝒄 will wait for his return. 3,000 years pass in a blink. In the lower realm, a bustling crowd gathers for a momentous event. They are here to join the 𝒂𝒑𝒄𝒄 sect. A man holding a recruitment banner calls out to the aspiring disciples. He announces the outer sect trials and tells the recruits to register before they depart at dawn tomorrow. This deacon is in charge of recruitment, guiding them toward the mountain peaks for the entrance examination. Watching from the shadows is 𝒂𝒓𝒇𝒖𝒍. He hasn't perished, but has reincarnated into this lower world after millennia. The �𝒑𝒄𝒄 sect was his own creation. Once the most powerful sect that ruled the 9 mysteries continent, it once boasted millions of disciples. He wonders how far his legacy has fallen in 3,000 years. A young girl calls him a beggar, asking why he's talking to himself like a complete lunatic. He notices her strange heterochromatic eyes. One glows gold while the other burns purple, a truly rare and mystical sight. She possesses the dual yin-yang Dao body, a legendary constitution hidden within a small, innocent child. He never expected to find such a genius the moment he stepped back into the world. Fortune truly smiles upon him. Suddenly, the girl points to the sky. "Big brother, look, there's a giant black snake in the clouds." The surrounding crowd breaks into laughter, mocking her for her vivid imagination and calling her a crazy girl. They mock her relentlessly, laughing at the idea of a snake flying through the open sky. Let them laugh for now. They cannot see what her divine eyes perceive through her heightened spiritual senses. 𝒂𝒓𝒇𝒖𝒍's expression turns cold. A great catastrophe is about to descend upon this very city. A dark, ominous mist swallows the sun. Those who were just laughing are now frozen in absolute terror. A demonic serpent, larger than a palace, descends from the heavens. Panic erupts as the citizens flee. Only 𝒂𝒓𝒇𝒖𝒍 and the girl remain. The serpent speaks with a human voice, relishing the fear in the air. It hungers for the blood of warriors gathered in this city. With one tail swipe, it crushes everyone. It has searched for days for this harvest. Drinking the blood of 8,000 warriors will allow it to become a dragon. It dreams of ascending through tribulation. Little does it know, a true physical god stands before it. A group of female disciples arrives. Their leader is 𝒂𝒑𝒖𝒍, a genius from the 𝒂𝒑𝒖𝒍 sect. She recognizes the beast instantly, a demonic serpent at the peak of tribulation, ready to shed its skin. To succeed, it must consume thousands. It has been terrorizing the outskirts of this city for far too long. The disciples of the �𝒑𝒖𝒍 sect draw their blades in perfect unison, ready to face the monster. 𝒂𝒑𝒖𝒍 vows to protect the innocent. She commands her sisters to strike and slay the beast without mercy. The serpent exhales a toxic, lethal fog, mocking the little girls who dare to challenge its divine might. It laughs, anticipating the delicious taste of their high-quality warrior blood to fuel its final evolution. 𝒂𝒑𝒖𝒍 watched in horror. The Yin Naga was ascending. A celestial dragon transformation was imminent. They were no match for it. She urged the disciples to signal the 𝒂💏 sect for reinforcements. A signal flared. But the Naga hissed. Useless! No one can save you from my divine ascension. I shall devour every soul here. Accept your miserable fate. The beast unleashed a storm of lethal lightning. The disciples fell, paralyzed and broken. The Naga's massive tail began slaughtering the innocent city folk nearby. It planned to level Thung Shao first. It would feast on these cultivators once the city was ash. Terror gripped the streets. Who could possibly stand against such a mountain-sized, ancient primordial monster? Even little Hai, possessor of the yin-yang body, trembled behind 𝒂💏 as death approached. The tail struck. Hai closed her eyes, but 𝒂💏 stopped it with a single finger. A mere insect dares to act arrogant before me? He sneered. The beast's power meant absolutely nothing. He had conquered 100,000 tribulations. This crawling worm was simply begging for a swift death. With one casual palm strike, 𝒂💏 sent the massive Naga soaring into the clouds, broken. It crashed down, horns shattered and bleeding out. The legendary beast had only minutes left to live. The survivors were stunned. Why did the invincible Naga suddenly fly back and collapse in total agony? The Naga coughed blood, trembling. A single strike. Who is that monster in human skin? It gasped. It died before it could finish. The celestial core was now resting in 𝒂💏's hand. He examined the beast's essence. For a tribulation-level monster, its aura felt artificially manipulated and strange. Someone had raised this beast to destroy the 𝒂💏 sect. A dark conspiracy was clearly unfolding. If he hadn't intervened, thousands would have died. His casual strength had averted a total bloodbath today. Hai looked at the tiny, shrunken Naga in his hand. It's actually kind of cute, she chirped. He gifted the spirit beast to her. It was useless to him. He then learned her name. Hai. Suddenly, a group of arrogant cultivators descended on flying swords. The 𒂂💏 sect disciples had arrived. The survivors cheered for Thum Vun Phi, a prestigious inner disciple and nephew of a powerful elder. Thum Vun Phi didn't care about the victims. His eyes were only on the Naga's priceless spirit core. A lackey reported the Naga's mysterious death. The beast is dead, but the core is missing, brother. They assumed the tribulation failed and some lucky thief had snatched the treasure during the chaotic battle. They were determined to hunt down the thief. 𝒂💏 watched their pathetic greed with total disdain. What short-sighted fools, he thought. They mistook his overwhelming power for a failed heavenly tribulation. Thum Vun Phi glared at the survivors. Which one of you is hiding my treasure? Speak now or suffer. He demanded they surrender the core for state leniency. The man was nothing but a greedy, arrogant hypocrite. He claimed credit for a victory he didn't earn. To him, anything valuable belonged to him by right. This core was vital for his breakthrough. He wouldn't have cared if everyone died as long as he won. Han Chin-tik and her girls were confused. They truly hadn't seen where the beast's essence had gone. It just vanished, they pleaded. But Thum Vun Phi's greed made him deaf to their honest explanations. His lackey brought out the spirit-revealing mirror. No treasure could stay hidden from its divine, searching light. If I catch you stealing from me, the consequences will be fatal. The arrogant disciple threatened the crowd. The mirror's light swept across the area, eventually stopping directly on little Hai and her pet. Hai hid in fear. These weaklings were courting death by challenging a literal god like 𝒂💏. Don't fear, he whispered. Not a single hair on your head will be touched while I breathe. A beggar has the celestial core, the disciples shouted in disbelief. They moved in to seize the child. 𝒂💏 flicked his wrist. The divine mirror shattered into a million useless shimmering glass shards instantly. Thum Vun Phi found him interesting and ordered his men to capture both the beggar and the girl. Hand over the treasure, you filthy trash, the goons barked, completely unaware they were facing an ancestor. This belongs to our sect. Lowlifes like you aren't worthy of even touching such a divine artifact. 𝒂💏 vanished, appearing behind them. He slammed their arrogant heads into the dirt with ease. Such arrogance. Thousands of years of 𒂂💏 legacy, wasted on these pathetic descendants. These new generations are a disgrace. 𝒂💏 Phi mocked the beggar standing before him. Onlookers thought the beggar was a fool, unaware he was the sovereign of the myriad realms. To the legendary 𝒂💏, this brat was nothing but a minor, amusing ant. A mere body cultivator hurt my men? Thum Vun Phi sneered with cold, murderous disdain. He demanded a horrific price. Cut off your own legs, or I'll take your lives. Pure audacity. Demanding the Lord of the Heavenly Board to cripple himself? He's seeking death. Only the Ancestor's mercy kept him alive, yet the fool continued his arrogant threats. "This is my domain," he barked. "Obey me, or your fate will be worse than death." Suddenly, 𝑩𝒐𝒅𝒚 stepped forward, shielding the Ancestor with her own fragile body. She begged for mercy, believing the peerless god was just a helpless, innocent commoner. "They are innocent," she pleaded. "But to a tyrant, innocence is just an invitation for cruelty." Her words fell on deaf ears. 𝒂𝒓𝒇𝒖𝒍's ego demanded blood and broken bones. "He dared to strike my disciples," the bully hissed. "Taking his legs is an act of mercy." Mercy? The entire 𝒂𝒓𝒇𝒖𝒍 sect belonged to the man he was currently insulting. With one thought, the Ancestor could erase this entire sect from existence in an instant. Desperate, 𝒂𝒐𝒅𝒚 threatened to report him. The bully only responded with a mocking laugh. "The saintess? She's nothing!" he roared, summoning his terrifying frost soul to crush them all. The air froze as a 6th-rank ice sovereign appeared, shocking the surrounding young disciples. The pressure was suffocating. 𝒂𝒐𝒅𝒚 felt her body locking under the chilling, divine aura. She prepared for the end, frozen in fear. But a steady hand touched her shoulder. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 stepped past her. "Thank you for the kindness, child. I'll handle this trash." He looked at the massive soul phantom with boredom. "A 6th rank. And you think you're a god?" 𝒂𝒊𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 grinned. "I'll show you the true gap between a god and a mortal." The Ancestor sighed. It was time for discipline. He slowly removed his tattered hat, and Asura's wrath exploded. A terrifying aura surged, making the bully collapse in primal terror. 𝒂𝒊𝒊𝒐𝒓's pride turned to liquid fear. He had finally provoked a true, ancient monster. With a casual wave, the Ancestor shattered the ice sovereign soul into 1,000 pieces. Arrogant and blind, 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 growled. "You are unworthy of the 𝒂𝒊𝒖𝒍 name. Thousands of years of legacy, only to produce trash?" The Ancestor's heart burned with disappointment. "This is heartbreaking," he whispered, before crushing the bully's leg like a dry, brittle twig. A blood-curdling scream filled the air. The high and mighty genius was now a pathetic, broken wreck. Who are you?" he wailed. But a god does not answer to a crawling insect. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 slammed his head into the ground, silencing his desperate and cowardly cries. Suddenly, a divine voice descended from the clouds, pleading for the Ancestor to show mercy. The sect's hidden power apologized, sensing the terrifying true identity of the beggar below. "So, the sect isn't entirely trash," the Ancestor noted. A flicker of hope remained. "Fine. Since you asked, I shall spare his miserable life. Just this once. But the price for crossing a physical god is high. His existence must remain a secret. No one shall remember this," he commanded, his eyes glowing with forbidden, ancient power. With a flick, he erased the bully's memories and tossed the garbage far away. 𝒂𝒊𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 awoke in a daze, his mind a fractured blur of pain and confusion. "One more mistake," a cold voice warned, "and not even your ancestors can save you." The saintess, 𝒂𝒊𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓, appeared like a goddess from heaven, her beauty blinding everyone. Her presence dominated the scene as the broken bully cowered in her magnificent, holy light. Driven mad by humiliation, he lunged forward, barking that 𝒂𝒊𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 was no saint. He claimed the sect had no right to judge him, but his words were cut short. 𝒂𝒊𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓's blade stopped hairbreadths from his skull, the sheer pressure drawing blood from his face. With a cold glare, she silenced him. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 froze in absolute shock. A soul illusion realm expert couldn't even withstand one casual strike from the saintess. She ordered the disciples to drag him to the law enforcement hall for severe punishment. Turning away, 𝒂𝒊𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 approached 𝒂𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 and High Knee with a respectful bow. She apologized for her disciples' arrogance, hoping they hadn't been frightened by the commotion. Her eyes lingered on 𝒂𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓. Earlier, she felt a terrifying presence from him. Despite his body-refining stage, his gaze held the weight of an ancient mountain. High Knee beamed, complimenting the beautiful sister, while 𝒂𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 observed 𝒂𝒊𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓's hidden potential. He realized she possessed the peerless sword physique, a talent unseen in 10,000 years. Seeing her surname was also 𝒂𝒑𝒏𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓, he wondered if she descended from his first disciple. He scoffed that beauty was useless if she was fated to die very soon. 𝒂𝒊𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 shuddered. This mysterious man had seen through her fatal hidden condition instantly. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 barked in anger, calling 𝒂𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 an ungrateful madman for such insults. Ignoring the noise, 𝒂𝒕�𝒄𝒄 smiled and looked deeply into the saintess's eyes. He warned her that the 10 absolute sword chi wasn't meant for mere mortals to master. He offered a solution, but demanded a VIP room and a private meeting at night. He told her to come alone during the hour of the dog if she wanted to live. The disciples were outraged that a beggar dared to summon their noble saintess to his room. They screamed that he was insane. But Langyan stood frozen in a state of realization. How could a stranger know the secret name of her sect's forbidden cultivation technique? That art was created by the founder, 𝒂𝒕�𝒄𝒄, and never shared with the outside world. Little did she know, the true ancestor was the man standing right before her. Langyan ignored her subordinates' protests and agreed to meet him at the appointed hour. This single choice would soon change the fate of her entire cultivation journey forever. Later, while 𝒂𝒕�𝒄𝒄 and 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒄 enjoyed a feast, a strange presence stirred. Inside a small python artifact, a trapped old man screamed in a rage for release. He cursed them both, but to the ancient ancestor, he was nothing more than an ant. As night fell and 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒄 slept, Langyan arrived at his door as promised. 𝒂𝒕�𝒄𝒄 sipped his wine, noting she arrived just in the nick of time. He warned that the pure yang's scorching essence within her was about to explode violently. Langyan gasped in disbelief, her heart racing as her deepest secret was laid bare. That volatile fire energy was a ticking time bomb that threatened to incinerate her soul. Every flare-up felt like being burned alive in the pits of a hellish volcano. Only her sect leader knew of this curse, making this man's knowledge impossible and terrifying. She had no idea she was facing the very source of her sect's entire lineage. 𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒄𝒄 was the true grand ancestor, a god walking among common men. Langyan argued that her sect leader had already suppressed the fire with divine seals. 𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒄𝒄 laughed, calling such a primitive suppression a joke that only invited death. He challenged her to block a single move using her own pure yang sword. Langyan accepted, but the moment she moved, her internal energy revolted with primal fury. She collapsed, coughing up blood as her own power turned against her fragile body. Looking up in terror, she listened as he began explaining the flaws in her meridians. 𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒄𝒄's body was ravaged by rampant fire essence, clogging her vital meridians. Did the sect leader hide the truth? The 10 decisive sword chi fragment is incomplete. Reckless training is suicide. But 𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒄𝒄's ancient eyes saw the fatal flaw. One more step and her heart would shatter from internal chi deviation. Even a saintess cannot escape death when her own power turns against her. 𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒄𝒄 summoned a blaze of pure yang sword intent to silence her. Tell me, how does my flame compare to your master's pitiful spark? She froze. How could a mere body-refining cultivator wield such primordial fire? The sheer intensity of his flames defied every law of the cultivation world. Your ignorance is vast, he mocked. Your sect leader is powerless to save you. Only this beggar holds the key to your salvation and your future. As the true progenitor of this art, he saw her struggle with absolute clarity. You are no kin of mine, he mused. Why should I bother saving you? He tilted her chin up, demanding she serve as his personal maidservant. She would handle his every need once they arrived at the MANHWA sect. Furious, she branded him a lecherous opportunist and spat at the offer. I would rather die than submit to such a shameful demand, she cried. Do not flatter yourself, he countered. Serving me is a divine privilege, not a burden. The contract was simple. 6 months of service. Then she would be free. She thought him mad, yet his eyes held the weight of an ancient god. Where did this beggar find the gall to speak so boldly to a saintess? Desperate, she agreed to serve him if he could truly suppress her agony. With a smirk, he unleashed a surge of golden energy into her body. Follow me, and I will lead you to the pinnacle of the heavens. His warmth instantly quelled the raging fire that had been tearing her apart. Who is this man? She wondered, her heart trembling with newfound awe. As the healing ritual began, his presence felt like an immovable mountain. Endure the pain, he commanded. Do not let my efforts go to waste. A soft moan escaped her lips, making him warn her to stay quiet. Little 𝒂𝒐𝒊 was already fast asleep, lost in a wine-induced slumber. Outside, Han Chin-tich overheard the rhythmic sounds and misunderstood the situation completely. Her face flushed crimson as she hurried away from the scandalous scene. The crisis was averted. A moment later, and her soul would have vanished. A peerless sword physique. A rare treasure indeed, he whispered with a smirk. At dawn, the trio set off toward the grand gates of Thon Van Sect. Onlookers gasped at the saintess's radiant glow and restored vitality. Whispers of the strange noises heard last night began to spread like wildfire. He casually ordered the saintess to carry him and Hai-Ni through the clouds. "Brief me on the local geography," he stated, as if commanding a subject. To everyone's shock, the proud saintess obeyed with a deep, shy blush. Han Chin-tich watched in disbelief as the high and mighty saintess bowed to a beggar. They arrived at the Than Huyen sect, where thousands gathered for the trials. Hopeful recruits stared in awe at the majestic gates of the great sect. Joining the outer sect was a dream that demanded blood and sweat. The entrance exams were legendary for their cruelty and soul-crushing difficulty. This trial? A mere flick of my finger. 𝒂𝒓𝒇𝒖𝒍 Huyen strolled on, casually discussing his next residence. He demanded a place at Holy Maiden Peak. Why? So 𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 could serve him better. That peak is for divine beauties only. Legends say every woman there possesses the face of a goddess. To others, he was a toad dreaming of a swan. Han Chin-tich's suspicion began to grow. What happened last night? The proud saintess now addressed this mysterious man as young master. With a wicked smirk, he teased the crowd. A man and woman alone? The possibilities are scandalous. He offered to demonstrate the details. 𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓's face flushed a deep, embarrassed crimson. She coughed to silence his vulgarity. She promised to find a fitting place for him and Hai-Ni. First, business. She led the disciples of Tuong Shao toward the grand examination square. Han Chin-tich sneered. The Than Huyen array was opening. Would the MC wet his pants in fear? Both 𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 Huyen and little Hai-Ni remained unmoved. Fear was a concept they didn't know. At the square, the formation was primed. Ancient power hummed, waiting to crush the unworthy. Boredom struck. 𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 Huyen demanded a bed. He wasn't about to stand and wait like a peasant. To everyone's shock, the saintess obeyed. She acted more like a humble maid than a goddess. She ordered the disciples to enter the trial. 3 provinces were about to face their destiny. Han Chin-tich tried to intervene. Why serve this man? He wasn't her master, yet. She ignored the advice. Last night's debt had turned her into his loyal, personal servant. The male disciples watched, hearts breaking. One fool even screamed his desire to marry her. Boom! A massive explosion rocked the square. The weak were purged, sent flying like broken dolls. Charred bodies lay everywhere. The crowd realized the truth. This trial was a living hell. The heavenly wolf array was ruthless. The disciples' initial confidence vanished into pure, chilling terror. Elder Trent Bin sighed in disappointment. This year's crop of warriors was utterly pathetic. They couldn't even handle low-grade spiritual pressure. Their talent was gutter tier, unworthy of the sect. Is this all? 𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 Huyen mocked. Where is your masculine pride? Where is your strength? Every eye turned toward him. He looked like a king lounging in a den of commoners. The saintess herself was fanning him. Even Elder Trent Bin questioned his own aged eyes. Was he her father? Or a hidden god? The saintess's fan club reached their boiling point. Seeing their goddess acting like a servant sparked a murderous rage. Jealousy burned through the crowd. They wanted blood. Han Chin-tich watched, realizing the MC had become the ultimate target. 3 shadows emerged from the formation. The outer sect trio arrived to claim their glory. Legends of the Than Huyen rankings. They only participated to win the saintess's heart. Seeing a beggar like 𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 near her was an insult to their very existence. 𝒂𝒊𝒃𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓's eyes blazed with envy. To him, this mysterious man was already a corpse. Fools like this don't survive long. Meanwhile, the elder praised their exceptional and monstrous talent. They had endured the gravity statues. Their potential was supposedly staggering to the mortal eye. The crowd whispered in awe. 𝒂𝒊𝒃𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓, Loi Dao, and So Chung-fong were true geniuses. Rumors said they jumped straight to the inner sect. They were the chosen ones of this era. To 𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓, they were just trash. Antics he could crush with a single thought. Han Chin-tich smirked. Surely the MC's arrogance had finally invited a crushing, fatal disaster. The trio's glares were lethal. They were ready to tear the arrogant man limb from limb. 𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 Huyen gave a mocking compliment. Taking a whole hour to clear the trial? Pathetic. He claimed he could shatter the entire array with a mere snap of his fingers. The trio laughed, their arrogance peaking. Such big words for a man who does nothing. 𝒂𝒊𝒃𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 mocked him further. If the saintess serves you, show us your divine power. Step up, they challenged. Show us the snap that supposedly breaks our world's greatest array. 𝒂𝒊𝒃𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 sneered with pure contempt. To him, 𝒂𝒓𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 Huyen was just a lowly beggar. But fate was shifting. Don't run home to your mother. The disciples mocked him with cruel laughter. They hungered for the legend's fall. They waited for his ultimate humiliation. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 simply smiled. He would grant their foolish wish today. Step aside and watch a master. This formation is mere trash in my eyes. It cannot stop a true god. These three had no real talent at all. Loi Dao roared in a blind fury. He cursed the young man's arrogance. How dare a beggar speak so boldly? So Trong-Fong calmed the raging beast. No need for such useless anger. If he talks big like a king, someone must be backing him up. Let us see this hidden power. If even a mortal can break it, then show us your supposed genius. Perform for us and prove it. Open our eyes to your hidden glory. Van Long Kiet pushed the trap forward. Show us your true colors now. Don't tell me you are a coward. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 stood like a mountain. I am no mere mortal man. Why should I perform like a puppet? He mocked Van Long Kiet's pride. A dragon ignores the barking dogs. He turned to the beautiful 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓. Act like a proper maid should. My wine cup is empty now. Refill it without a single delay. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 could only whisper her obedience. Her heart burned with silent rage. Her pride as a saintess was shattered. Serving wine like a common servant girl. In front of all these eyes, he called her a maid publicly. Then she asked the burning question. Can a mortal really break this array? Is the Lathian formation truly that weak? 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 could not believe it. It defied all known logic. This was a 5th-grade divine array. How could a mortal ever survive it? It should be completely impossible. He saw her deep, lingering doubt. Since the saintess is so curious, I shall reveal the divine truth. Open your eyes to true mastery. The crowd expected a grand move. They waited for his power explosion. To treat a saintess like a maid, he must possess godlike power. But he just called for Hai Ni. He whispered ancient secrets in her ear. Go play in the formation, little one. The child skipped forward. Have some fun, he told her. The disciples were frozen in pure horror. Was he insane or a god? Sending a child to her certain death? To play in a killing array? 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 heart raced. Is Hai Ni really the one? She has 0 cultivation levels within her. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 remained unmoved. I said a mortal could do it. Hai Ni is the perfect proof today. Watch as the impossible happens. She will prove my words are law. Loi Dao laughed in absolute disbelief. No one could be this reckless. Sending a mere child inside the gate? Van Long Kiet wore a dark smile. He wanted to see blood. He expected her certain, painful death. He underestimated the ancient ancestor. A heavy lesson was coming soon. Hai Ni stepped into the light. The first gate stood before her. Following his secret divine rhythm, she moved with pure, innocent joy. 4 steps forward into the trap. The black tortoise finally appeared. Everything followed his grand, divine design. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 trembled with fear. The beast was slow but deadly. Its reach was vast and crushing. For an ordinary girl, this was doom. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 stayed silent. Just watch the miracle unfold now. Every attack missed her by a hair, like she knew every move. 4 steps, then sit and count. 5 steps forward and stop. Close your eyes for 4 seconds. The masters were left utterly speechless. Blindfolded in the great array? This was an absolute nightmare. Loi Dao slapped his own face hard. Is this some twisted, dark illusion? So Trong-Fong was shaken. We used half our divine power. This child is just playing around. We must be dreaming this. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 finally breathed again. To dodge the tortoise's wrath easily? It was a feat of gods. With his guidance, everything is easy. But why is she going deeper? The saintess's heart stopped again. Hai Ni saw only a playground. She followed the ancestor's path. The tortoise's power was shattered. In less than 1 incense stick, the entire crowd was paralyzed. Such a strange, divine method. A mortal broke a legendary array. In the blink of an eye, she reached the vermilion bird. A turtle and bird on her. 2 incense sticks passed by. She had already conquered the tiger. 3 incense sticks were enough. The azure dragon was hers too. She walked out with a smile. Look at these cute little pets. She didn't even know their names. The 4 divine beasts were tamed. The 4 divine beast spirits crumbled as he shattered the formation. The 3 great talents stood paralyzed in utter shock. So Trong-Fong's jaw dropped. Their legendary array, crafted with immense effort, was dismantled by a mere child effortlessly. He brought the 4 spirit essences to 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗���𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓, asking if she could keep these tiny animals as pets. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 casually nodded. He remarked that this Than Huyen Great Array was obsolete over 1,000 years ago. It was a flawed design using inferior beast cores. He claimed even a mortal could break such a pathetic barrier. This was no test for 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 group. They burned with rage, but were powerless against the truth. He's success proved him right. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 watched in awe as the Ancestor's words turned into undeniable reality. Sensing his godlike power, 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 hinted that perhaps a new formation for the sect would be better. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 saw through her scheme instantly. He chuckled at her attempt to manipulate an ancient ancestor like him. She continued her flattery, praising his unmatched strength. She claimed creating a high-level array would be easy for him. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 warned her to stop the provocations. However, he promised a reward if she served him well. If she made him comfortable, he might bestow a divine array. He had forged thousands of these while bored. To him, these grand formations were mere trifles. He could create hundreds of them with a single flick of his wrist. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 smiled outwardly, while cursing his arrogance internally. She found his demands to be increasingly over the top. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 was disappointed. A millennium later, the sect still treated his old trash as a sacred treasure. This formation was something he once threw together just to catch birds. Now, they worshipped it like a holy relic. It was time to give them something worthy. He turned to the 3 talents and asked if they had objections. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 and his brothers were humiliated. They had failed where a mortal girl succeeded without even trying. It was a brutal slap to their pride. They swallowed their bitterness, unable to find words to counter his logic. Loi Dao, still stubborn, barked that it was just pure luck. He refused to acknowledge the main character's absolute superiority. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 didn't bother arguing with an insect. He simply stretched, yawning at the lack of true talent here. The recruitment was a bore. Not a single student was worth his time, or even a second glance. Loi Dao was silenced by his sheer presence. The ancestor then rose to explore the sect on his own terms. He instructed 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 to look after Hehe. She tried to warn him about the sect's dangerous forbidden zones. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 stopped and glanced back coldly. "I know this mountain better than you ever will," he declared. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 was stunned. How could a man she just met claim more familiarity than the saintess herself? Using the Lingba steps, he treaded through the air. He sought a quiet peak to enjoy a long-awaited nap. He descended upon a mountain filled with the aroma of wine. It had been ages since he tasted fine spirits. He was surprised anyone still knew the art of brewing spirit nectar. He entered the area like he owned it. Uninvited and unapologetic, he prepared to drink. To the strongest in history, the entire world was his private home. As he reached for a jar, a massive, rough hand stopped him. A grumpy old man glared with burning fury. "You brat! How dare you steal my wine?" the elder roared, demanding 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 drop the jar immediately. The physical god merely smirked at the elder's rage. He had never feared anyone in heaven or on earth. "And if I refuse to let go?" he challenged. The old man lunged forward, intending to teach him a lesson, but the elder was no match for the ancestor. He grabbed his arm, but 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 remained immovable. Realizing the terrifying physical strength before him, the elder gasped. He demanded to know which peak the boy served. 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 ignored the question. He declared that this mountain would now be his personal lounging spot. The elder was livid at such shamelessness. He cursed the master who raised such a disrespectful and arrogant brat. He tried to strike again in his master's stead, but the ancestor dodged every blow with divine, effortless grace. Sitting atop the wine jars, 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 laughed. He told the old man his mediocre wine wasn't worth the fuss. Truly brazen, freeloading and guzzling wine. No one is more shameless than this 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓. Fuming, the elder roared. "Who raised this brat? Disrespecting elders is a sin he won't tolerate." He vowed to discipline him for his master. But 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 only gave a nonchalant shrug. "You're far too hot-tempered, old man." Dodging perfectly, he perched lazily atop the wine jars. "You're outdated. This spirit wine is barely mediocre at best." Hearing this, the old man's rage exploded. Incensed, the old man barked at 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓. "Ignorant brat! How dare you insult my divine brew? I'll silence that foul mouth of yours." He lunged, intending to leave 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 broken and crippled. He planned to keep him as a lowly servant, but 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 simply watched with a calm smirk. Though hot-headed, the old man's love for wine reminded 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 of his own past self. Tossing a wine jar back, 𝑑𝒐𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 declared he wouldn't mind an old drunkard as a companion. The jar's impact sent the old man flying, coughing blood as his tattered robes revealed hidden scars. 𝒂💐💊💄's eyes narrowed. This old man wasn't weak, but his body was a cage of old wounds. His true cultivation was suppressed by deep-seated injuries, preventing him from unleashing his peak primordial power. Suddenly, a heavenly fragrance wafted through the air, drawing 𝒂💐💊💄's attention to the ruined temple. "Stop! There's nothing inside," the old man pleaded, desperate to keep the young master away from his secret. 𝒂💐💊💄's voice turned cold. "Without my permission, stay put, or I'll personally teach you a lesson." One more step without his leave, and the old man would face the wrath of a physical god. Inside, the scent of top-tier spirit brew filled the hall. The old drunkard truly was a master brewer. Even 𝒂💐💊💄 was impressed. Identifying such quality required the nose of a legendary connoisseur. This wasn't just wine. It was a peerless great elixir, a rarity that few in this world could ever craft. Thirsty for a taste of this legendary nectar, 𝒂💐💊💄 approached the massive brewing cauldron. He hoped the flavor would match its divine scent, but as he peered inside, his eyes widened. Floating there was a lolly-looking girl, the demoness of the demon hall he had sealed thousands of years ago. Sensing a human presence, the demoness stirred from her slumber, groggily asking who dared disturb her rest. Realizing she was exposed, she panicked, using a high-level movement technique to vanish in a dark blur. "Fast, I'll give her that," 𝒂💐💊💄 muttered, watching her flee like a startled shadow. But speed was useless against him. No one escapes the grasp of the strongest ancestor in history. She had devoured the wine's essence nearly 8,000 times, leaving the brew hollow and flavorless. "What a waste of heavenly resources," he sighed. It was time to find and punish that little brat. Outside, the old man collapsed in despair. 40 years of painstaking brewing had just vanished into thin air. "It's all gone. Everything is lost," he wailed, his spirit crushed by the loss of his life's work. 𝒂💐💊💄 knelt down. "Relax, the wine is still there. Now, answer my questions truthfully." When the old man tried to resist, 𝒂💐💊💄 unleashed an aura, so suffocating it nearly stopped his heart. "I am the one asking here," he stated coldly. Terrified, the old man finally understood his place. He asked if anyone else inhabited Sword Mystery Peak, or if any forbidden grounds remained hidden within. "This peak has been a wasteland for a millennium," the old man stammered, his bravado completely shattered. He had lived there for a century and knew of no secret areas or forbidden zones. Aside from the main hall, Sword Mystery Peak held nothing but ruins and echoes of the past. 𝒂💐💊💄 let him be, but the old man stared after him, haunted by a sense of familiarity. At the true martial hall, 𝒂💐💊💄 pushed open the heavy doors, confirming the old man's words. This place hadn't seen a soul in 2,000 years. No wonder that demoness managed to slip her seal. Without maintenance, the power of the demon prison's formation had finally withered away over the long centuries. 𝒂💐💊💄 stepped onto a hidden floor mechanism, triggering a deep, mechanical groan from the earth. "You rotten, cursed man! Why did you lock me in this hellhole even after you left?" A voice shrieked. "At least send someone to feed me. I, 𝒂💐💊💄, am going to die of hunger." Hearing footsteps, the girl's eyes lit up. Finally, a chance for the great demoness to escape had arrived. 𝒂💐💄 assumed it was just some gullible disciple, and prepared to unleash her ultimate seduction technique. 𝒂💐💊💄 scoffed. He knew her tricks all too well. Even imprisoned, she was still trying to manipulate souls. Sealing this place before ascending to the upper realm was definitely the right choice back then. If he hadn't, the entire Than sect would have long since become puppets of the chaotic 𝒂💐💄. Chaos erupted in the abyss. Unbeknownst to the demoness, the man approaching was her jailer, 𝒂💐💊💄. Thinking he'd fallen for her trap, 𝒂💐💄 channeled her final spark of mystic energy. In a flash, the lowly transformed into a breathtaking, mature beauty. She wouldn't waste this chance. 2,000 years he's kept me rot here. This time, 𝒂💐💄 will taste freedom. The demoness planned to lock 𝒂💐💊💄 inside his own prison and make him her eternal slave. She would soon regret those thoughts. Her visitor was the only man immune to her seductive charms. Only the legendary 𝒂💐💊💄 knew the exact methods to tame this wild demoness. Seeing him, she feigned distress. "Little brother, have you come to rescue poor me?" But 𝒂💐💊💄 saw right through her. "Stop acting. You just stole my top-tier spirit wine." He hadn't even settled that debt yet. "Rescue you? You're lucky I don't kill you right now." She played the innocent fool. Stole your wine? You mean that delicious nectar from earlier? She sensed no cultivation aura from him. A mere rookie of the Than Huen sect? How easy to deceive. She unleashed her ultimate beauty trap, her eyes swirling with pure, lustful temptation. Wine is boring, handsome. Free me, and you can do whatever you want with my body. Anything. 𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 was many things, but a fool wasn't one. She dared to seduce her own master? After 2,000 years, her audacity had grown as much as her beauty. Who are you to resist my charm? She demanded, still oblivious to his true identity. She had no idea this was the very man who sealed her and the man she once loved. Aren't you just a new disciple? He only smirked at her arrogance. A demoness relying on her eyes is pathetic. Can't you even recognize my presence anymore? A chill ran down her spine. This aura. It felt dangerously familiar. 𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓. The realization finally struck her like a lightning bolt. But something was different. Wait, are you his descendant? His son? Her eyes flared with murderous jealousy as her mind spiraled into madness. I am your mother. Tell me, who is the woman your father married? She shrieked in rage. How dare she steal my man? I'll tear that woman to pieces. No wonder he hasn't visited for 2,000 years. He found a new plaything. 𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 stayed silent. A jealous demoness was more terrifying than a god of war. Women truly are the most dangerous creatures. Did your mother send you here to gloat? Did she send you to show off that she won his heart? Her jealousy was suffocating. Only his bloodline could find this hidden dungeon. Her logic was fueled by pure spite. Little did she know, the legend himself stood before her. Her heart burned with green envy. She cursed him repeatedly. Bastard, filthy, heartless man. He heard every single word clearly. He was utterly baffled. When did I ever get married? Let alone have a child? She burst into tears. A son! He even sent his son to mock me. How cruel! He sighed at her runaway imagination. When did this demoness become a drama queen? He flicked her forehead with annoyance. Your father bullied me. Now you too? She wailed. Let me out. I'll fight you to the death, you little brat. He leaned down, his eyes piercing her soul. Haven't you realized? I am 𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓, she scoffed. Don't lie. You look like him, but your vibe is completely different. He was a body cultivator with power. But you? You have zero cultivation. To her, his claim was a pathetic joke. She refused to believe the truth. Are you pretending to be your father just to have your way with me? He was speechless. Had 2,000 years in the dark turned her brain to mush? Whether she was acting or stupid, he grabbed her and instantly shattered her transformation. Ye Shangxuan gazed at Duang Yu, warning the girl to stop hiding her true form behind that seductive, mature illusion. He knew the demon sect's charm arts better than anyone. They were completely useless against a physical god like him. Duang Yu stood frozen, unable to fathom how this man effortlessly shattered her high-level transformation technique. Yi Shangxuan pinched her cheeks like dough, teasing that being a brat suited her mischievous nature much better. Why obsess over growing up? He asked if she had already forgotten the disastrous outcome of her last seduction attempt. Back then, her backside remained swollen for half a month after he punished her for playing with fire. He warned her again. Try those forbidden arts once more, and he would show her no mercy. He asked if her skin was crawling for another beating, or if she truly craved his disciplinary hand. He began listing her past crimes, like the time she exploited a weak seal to escape the dungeon. Not only did she run, but she even dared to spike his bathwater with strange, illicit substances. He reminded her of 100 years ago, when he finally released her from her soul-binding chains. He had told her never to return to that demonic sect where she was merely a sacrificial cultivation vessel. In the end, he was the only one who bothered to descend and save her from that wretched fate. After recounting these secrets, he looked into her eyes and asked if she finally realized his true identity. Overwhelmed with emotion, she burst into tears, cursing the heartless man who had abandoned her for so long. Why return only now? Yi Shangxuan could only sigh as the girl's resentment poured out in a heavy sob. Clinging to his robes, she vowed never to let him vanish again, threatening to hold on forever. She cried out about the 2,600 years of agonizing solitude she had endured in the dark. Did he have any idea how she survived those endless millennia trapped alone within this cold, damp basement? There was no one to talk to, no food to eat, only the suffocating weight of absolute loneliness. Softening, Ye Shangxuan gently stroked her hair, acknowledging the heavy burden she had carried in his absence. He explained that after conquering this realm, He ascended to the upper heavens to etch his name on the tablets. 2,000 years had passed. Yet Duang Yuyu was shocked to see his appearance hadn't aged a single day. He confessed he had actually died once, surviving only through a hidden path he prepared ages ago. Reconstructing a god-tier physical body wasn't easy, and several complications had arisen during his rebirth process. But he didn't care. Being alive was enough, and his physical form could be perfected over time. Worried, Duang Yuyu frantically checked his pulse, asking if his fundamental source of life was still damaged. She couldn't bear seeing him in this weakened state, and insisted on a full examination of his meridians. She demanded to know which bastard dared to strike her man, swearing to hunt them down herself. He laughed, noting that even without his cultivation, only a handful of beings in existence could challenge him. He flicked her forehead, telling the little brat to stop acting like she was some ancient grandmaster. She pouted, insisting she was no longer a child, claiming she had grown significantly in every possible way. After 2 millennia, she argued her age and maturity were far beyond what he remembered of his little disciple. To him, she was still just a tiny girl. He then asked if she finally wanted to leave this prison. Her eyes sparkled with hope. He explained that he originally sealed her here to prevent her from causing chaos. Without his supervision, her innate bewitching beauty would have surely sparked world-ending wars between kingdoms. But now that the Ancestor had returned, her safety was guaranteed, and her chains were no longer needed. Keeping her here for 2,000 years was harsh, so he offered her freedom, but with 3 strict conditions. Before he could even list them, she eagerly agreed, desperate to follow him back into the sunlight. 1. No transformations. 2. Stay within 5 steps of him at all times without his direct permission. 3. Stop using that arrogant tone. She found the rules incredibly simple and lunged for a hug. She cheered, claiming she knew his cold heart still held a deep, unyielding love for her. He tried to peel her off, but she clung tighter, refusing to let go after centuries of separation. She scolded him for disappearing and locking her away, depriving her of even a moment of his warmth. She hopped onto his shoulders, demanding he take her for a legendary feast to make up for everything. Shockwaves rocked the Thunhuan sect. Haine's dual-colored aura shattered the testing stone's limits instantly. A saint-tier talent emerged. This eclipsed the 3 geniuses, including the arrogant 𝑩𝒐𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓, immediately. They were mere mortals, not even reaching the peak grade. Meanwhile, Deep Lang Yen sensed a legendary presence. It was the twin Dao body, a saint physique unseen for 10,000 years, wielding ice and fire. She could master yin and yang. Yet innocent Haine stood there, confused by the pillar's blinding glow. Unbelievable! Elder Trio Thuongfong stepped forward, but the other peak masters weren't about to let him steal her. They barked that Trio had no resources to nurture such a divine talent. A fierce recruitment war began. Though strong, Trio's love for freedom meant he lacked a peak's backing. He couldn't provide for her. Trie Thuongfong fumed with rage. These bastards had tricked him into staying away from leadership positions before. They claimed being a peak master was exhausting just to keep him out. Now, they played him again. As they bickered, a thunderous voice silenced the crowd. "Cease this. This girl shall be my personal disciple." A clueless disciple almost cursed the newcomer's arrogance but was instantly silenced by a terrified senior disciple. This was the supreme elder of the Thunhuan sect. Even Trio Thuongfong forced a bitter smile. The peak masters cursed their rotten luck internally. Against the supreme elder, they had 0 chance of winning. Wasn't he in seclusion? They had found a once-in-a-lifetime seed, only to have it snatched away instantly. The supreme elder felt blessed. Ending his long meditation to find such a divine talent was heaven's gift. Her skeletal structure was perfect for his ultimate legacy. She would surely surpass him and reach godhood. All 4 elders bowed deeply in reverence. The supreme elder acknowledged their respect with a stoic, cold nod. He admitted he was pulling rank to claim her. "If any of you object, speak your mind now." Nobody dared breathe a word of protest. Trio Thuongfong quickly assured him it was an absolute honor. "A supreme elder taking a disciple is a blessing for our sect," Trio shouted, playing the loyal subject. He then turned to the 3 peak masters, mocking them with a look. "You lot don't mind, right? If he couldn't have her, neither could they." This was poetic justice for their earlier attempts to exclude him. Defeated, they congratulated the supreme elder. Their dreams of training a saint-tier disciple had vanished into smoke. He laughed heartily, dismissing them with a wave. It was time to finally meet his new prize. Little did he know, a public humiliation awaited him. Meanwhile, the jealous 𝑩𝒐𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 watched from shadows. Why her? He seethed. How could a lowly beggar girl capture the Supreme Elder's attention while he was ignored? Gritting his teeth, he nursed his wounded ego. In his twisted mind, he was the true main character. He should be the center of attention. Yet, Hai Ni's innate talent made him look like a commoner. The Supreme Elder descended, offering Hai Ni the chance of a lifetime. I shall be your master today. But Hai Ni shook her head innocently. But Big Brother 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 said he would be my master. He said no one else in the entire sect is worthy of teaching me, she added, shocking everyone. The Supreme Elder's face darkened. He demanded 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 reveal the identity of this arrogant Big Brother. Seeing an opening for malice, 𝑩𝒐𝒅𝒚 scurried forward to poison the Supreme Elder's mind with lies. That 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 is just a delusional beggar, he sneered. A man without a single drop of cultivation. He painted a picture of a mysterious charlatan who refused to prove his worth during the Sects trials. He makes pathetic excuses to hide his weakness. 𝒩𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 lied, his voice dripping with fake concern. The fabrication was masterfully vile. He wasn't finished. He wanted to destroy 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓's reputation completely. Even our saintess, 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓, serves him like a maid, he whispered. It is truly a scandalous sight. He dared to imply a secret affair. The Supreme Elder roared in fury at the suggestion of dishonor. Is this true, Lang Yen? Are you serving a common beggar? Forced to answer, the saintess slowly nodded. It's not what you think, she pleaded. But the Supreme Elder's rage was already at its boiling point. His aura exploded, forcing the disciples back. A mere mortal dared to mock the majesty of his sect. How dare a weakling treat our saintess as a servant, he thundered. Death was too good for such insolence. The Supreme Elder ignored their connection. This scandal had pushed him over the edge. The entire Than Huyen sect had lost face. He glared coldly at 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓. This brat cannot be spared. Just then, 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 arrived with Duong Yu. Who exactly are you planning to kill? The Ancestor challenged, radiating an overwhelming pressure. Relief washed over his allies, while the villainous 𝒩𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 smirked, anticipating a downfall. 𝒩𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 bowed. Great Elder, this is the arrogant beggar I warned you about. Duong Yu's eyes sparkled as she sensed Hai Ni's presence. A twin Dao body? She turned to the ancient Ancestor. Is this the new disciple you've been hiding? Upon hearing his confirmation, she playfully praised him for finding such a legendary seedling. Hai Ni smiled at the newcomer. What a cute little sister you've brought, Big Brother. Duong Yu's face twisted in rage. Little sister? I am over 2,000 years old. She barked at the girl while 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 tried to maintain some semblance of order. Hai Ni tilted her head in confusion. But you look so much smaller than me? Duong Yu puffed out her chest defiantly. Small? I am actually quite big, thank you. She stood on her tiptoes, demanding to be addressed as a great lady instead. 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 with the Ancestor with pure horror. You? Even a child? 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 flicked Duong Yu's head. Stop spouting nonsense and causing such misunderstandings. Duong Yu put on a pitiful act. Are you abandoning your own woman now? After everything we've done in secret? The Ancestor stood there, completely speechless and defeated. The crowd began to whisper. 𝒩𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 waited for the Elder to strike him down. Yet, the Supreme Elder remained frozen. 𝒩𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 wondered why he wasn't attacking yet. Grand Elder, look! He even brought a child into his web of depravity. This lecherous monster is a stain upon the honor of our entire Than Huyen sect. The Supreme Elder's heart skipped a beat. If he was a stain, what was he? Back in his youth, he was actually Duong Yu's most loyal and pathetic fanboy. If his past as her errand boy was revealed, his 1,000-year dignity would vanish instantly. He turned to flee, but 𝒩𝒐𝒊𝒗𝒂𝒕𝒐𝒓 grabbed his sleeve, begging for a judgment. Grand Elder, stay. We must execute this lowly beggar to cleanse our sect's name. On the surface, the Elder acted calm, but internally, he was shaking with pure terror. He desperately tried to escape the scene before the ancient lowly recognized his aging face. Is that you, little Thuong? Duong Yu's voice rang out, freezing him in place. The disciples gasped. Did the Supreme Elder really have such a ridiculous, cutesy nickname? His face turned deathly pale. 2,000 years had passed, yet she still knew him. You have the wrong person, he screamed, sprinting away with legendary speed and desperation. Duong Yu just smirked. Her nose never lied when it came to her former subordinates. My nose is sharp. I never forget a face, especially one I've bullied before. To think that little brat is now a Supreme Elder. How the times have changed. Back then, You were just a lowly outer disciple with no voice at all. I remember saving you from those bullies and giving you a proper discipline myself. Now that you're powerful, are you too proud to recognize your big sister? 𝒂𝒓𝒄 Lang Yen cornered him. Grandfather, is it true? Were you really someone's punching bag? The elder groaned. His legendary reputation was crumbling at the hands of this ancient monster. The other elders began to snicker, enjoying the rare sight of their leader's humiliation. One even threatened to record this scandalous past into the sect's official history books. Please, lower your voice, the elder begged, his dignity shattered into a million pieces. Reeling from shock, she turned to 𝒂𝒑𝒄 Huyen. Who was this mysterious girl? Really? 𝒂𝒑𝒄 is just an old friend, he replied coldly. A friend who lives for chaos. Furious, 𝒂𝒑𝒄's horns practically glowed. Chaos! You're the one who locked me away. The Supreme Elder watched them, bewildered. He finally asked, Who is this young man? Truly, 𝒂𝒑𝒄 scoffed. How could he not recognize the sect's own legendary ancestor? Then she realized back then, this elder was merely a lowly, insignificant outer disciple. He lacked the status to even gaze upon such a legend. 𝒂𝒑𝒄 Huyen glared, signaling silence. Shuddering, she remembered his warning. If she revealed his identity, she'd pay a heavy price. She pivoted instantly, clinging to him. He's my husband, she declared. Everyone froze in disbelief. Jaws dropped. Some even thought about calling the guards on poor 𝒂𝒑𝒄 Huyen. Poking his cheek, she lied shamelessly. This man is heartless. He abandoned me for centuries. She warned the others. Being his maid is fine, but never love this Tanhun monster. Fed up with her chatter, 𝒂𝒑𝒄 Huyen threatened to lock her up again. She immediately switched to a damsel in distress. Please, dear husband, not that scary room. Turning to the elder, she demanded a feast fit for a physical god. I'm starving, she whined. The elder scrambled to obey, leaving 𝒂𝒑𝒄 behind. 𝒂𝒑𝒄 seethed with rage. That beggar had charmed everyone in the sect. He couldn't let this slide. As long as that man lived, his own glory was eclipsed. The scheme began. He whispered poison into the ears of every inner disciple. Our holy maiden is being held captive. That villain forces her into unspeakable things. The bait worked. The holy maiden was their goddess. They wouldn't let this stand. 100 angry disciples marched forth. 𝒂𝒑𝒄 watched them, wearing a sinister smirk. Soon, the entire city would know. Even a god couldn't escape this storm of rumors. He celebrated his cleverness, unaware of the shadow watching him from the darkness. Elsewhere, a panicked shout echoed. Young Master Lung Fi Pham, disaster has struck. The arrogant son of the Peak Master remained calm until the maiden was mentioned. His composure shattered like glass. He stood up, his aura erupting with murderous intent. A new disciple is blackmailing the holy maiden? He roared, his blood boiling with rage. He demanded his carriage at once. He would end this interloper personally and painfully. Meanwhile, the girls were feasting on divine delicacies they hadn't tasted in an eternity. Little Haini noticed 𝒂𝒑𝒄 Huyen wasn't eating. Big brother, aren't you hungry? He shook his head. His cultivation was so high, he lived on heaven's essence alone. Jealous of their bond, 𝒂𝒑𝒄 forced her way in to steal his attention. She grabbed his hand, forcing him to pat her head while acting shamelessly cute. 𝒂𝒑𝒄 Huyen's patience was wearing thin as her antics reached a ridiculous peak. Suddenly, a thunderous arrival shook the gates. Lung Fi Pham had finally arrived. Seeing the maiden serving a beggar, his vision turned red. He drew his blade instantly. A storm of killing intent exploded, cracking the earth beneath his feet. The ultimate confrontation begins. Like and subscribe to see the Ancestor's true power unleashed.